Authority Alchemy.
Authority Alchemy.
The show for positioning yourself as the #1 authority in your industry.
Quickly turn your prospects into clients and clients into raving fans.
Here are your hosts,
Brian Horn and Jack Mize.
Okay, folks, here we are. Another episode of Authority Alchemy. Of course, the show for building your authority, positioning yourself as that expert in your industry, and then how to leverage that positioning as well. This is Jack Mize, and I'm here with
Brian Horn.
That's right. So today we're going to get into some meat of some of press releases, because you know, one of the things that just really drives me nuts is when I see people talking about press releases are dead. How many times have you seen that over the last year?
Oh, people love saying it. Everything said. When something stops working for one person, their immediate thought is it's dead. It doesn't work anymore. There's no use for it.
Yeah, exactly. And why would press releases be dead? That's like such a broad statement, you know. And usually you get it from the SEO jockeys. Sorry, SEO folks. SEO is very important.
Right here.
but they're really thinking about press releases are dead as far as SEO goes, and the way that they were used, because at one time they were pretty powerful for search engine optimization, right?
Yeah, it was, and even saying it's dead just for SEO, it's just dead, like you said, the way it used to be. There's still, I'm doing some cool stuff with them, you know, right now with SEO. But people used to use them to buy just, you know, unlimited releases from PR Web, hammer those out every single day just to build a bunch of backlinks, and that was their SEO strategy. And you know, Google caught on to that and shut that down. So now they're saying press releases just can't work for anything anymore ever.
Right. And so you said something interesting, backlinks. That was like what everybody used press releases for. It's like, you know, forget about what the press releases say. Forget about anything interesting in there.
Right.
You know, let's just get, you know, enough to get approved to make it look like news. But what we really want are those backlinks.
Right. Which at the time it worked. So that was a cool thing to do then. It's what worked. But yeah, that was the only thing people saw them for.
Just to link it back to your site. And yeah, like you said, it did work. I know everybody was doing it. And I think I saw a lot of people cry, probably for the first time in years, the day that Google said no. And that's the one thing, you know, Google can wipe out a business model in an afternoon if they want to. And there's a lot of people that relied very heavily on press releases.
Oh, absolutely. I'm part of a SEO Mafia mastermind. We have a Skype group that's very active. And I remember that day on there, just some of the big SEO people everybody knows were just furious that day. They just had the entire backlink system just taken away overnight at the whim of Google.
All right, so I will concede that press releases are dead for that reason, for what a lot of people thought online press releases were used for.
Right.
But let's talk about what press releases, and really the way that we're using them is more the original, what press releases have been used for many, many years. In that is, you know, talking about news, announcing things that companies have done, and really it's not about SEO at all. Well, a little bit that we'll talk about either this episode or beyond. But the main thing is not the SEO. It's about the positioning and the way that press releases are done. Now, I got to say, you put together a really, really cool press release announcing our show. We had our first episode, and so this is our second episode. And so when we announced that the Authority Alchemy was live and the show was out there, the press release that you put together was, to me, a perfect goulash of a lot of different tweaks and hacks that you can use in press releases. And if someone read it really carefully, they could probably see that there's some very purposeful things that you did by design. So, you know, why don't you talk about that? Kind of, let's call this the anatomy of an authority press release. And so kind of talk about what the anatomy of authority press release. We'll put an image of the press release that I'm talking about that we put up there at authorityalchemy.com on this post. So folks can kind of walk through there and see, you know, what you did, why you did it, and the benefit of that.
Sure. Yeah. We'll go through several of the pieces in there. The first thing I like doing with press releases is with a title, to not make it look like it's just something being announced, where it's not just, you know, Brian Horn, Jack Mize announce a new podcast. That just immediately, somebody's eyes will just glaze over that. So you want to make it look as much like a a headline you'd see in a regular news. And there are some restrictions when you're doing press releases. You have to meet certain requirements. It can't just be an opinion piece or an essay. It does have to announce something. But like in this one, what I did, instead of just, we're announcing a new podcast, I made it, the title is New Show Tackles Taboo Topic of Manufactured Celebrity for Entrepreneurs. And so that was what I was doing with that one is a new show being announced, but I did throw the tackles taboo topic to throw a little alliteration in there, which, journalists like to do. So I try to throw that in there. And then just making it where it's just really almost kind of vague, where it says, new shows tackling the topic of manufactured celebrity for entrepreneurs. It almost sounds like could be like a Shark Tank type show or some other show on a real network where it's talking about something really kind of cool and that you're not quite sure what it is, because very few people actually know what manufactured celebrity is, but it sounds so cool. I mean, it sounds like something you'd want to learn if you just, wow.
It's definitely, it has the elements. It's magnetic for one. Two, it instantly creates curiosity. So to be able to do that in one sentence versus the, Brian and Jack announce a new show, I think right there's a lot of muscle behind this compared to what it could be and what a lot of people would do as a press release. So titles are very important. In fact, I'm sure we're going to we'll probably do a show just on the headlines, because they can be done in very, very purposeful and the different techniques and styles that you would use that at. So this one, completely see this one. It's, like I said, magnetic and builds curiosity immediately.
Yep. So then when you get down into it, at the beginning, I hit on the economic crisis also, which that's like goes back into like to the newsjacking type stuff. We're going to do a whole thing on that probably. But basically, that you find some trending topic or some common topic in the in mass media that people are used to seeing news stories about, and you bring that into it also. And that, again, that makes it look more like it's a real article about something. So the whole goal with these authority press releases, or one of the big goals, is to make it look like a real article that you're being brought in on. So like this looks like it's this one actually is more just about the show itself, but there are ways you can, or sometimes again, I'll make it like just more on, like I did several that were seem to be just about like, say, Obamacare. And then I'd bring in a dentist to give his opinion on it, where it's how the Obamacare is affecting like the dental industry. But that's we can get into more of those.
And I'll break in real quick because you use the term "real article," and I want to be clear that this is a real article.
It is a real article.
So we got to be careful about that, but letting folks understand that this is a real article, approved. The Wall Street Journal published this as, a bona fide piece of journalism. So, a real article, it is about something real. It's about something truthful. It's about something that's happening versus just some made up, something. So I want to make sure that
I should say more of like an editorial type article.
Yes. I guess it's the way that it's the alchemy. This is the pure alchemy happening here, is the way that this is presented. So it's definitely a real article, really on the Wall Street Journal. It's just done with the alchemy method that made it much easier for us to do this than most people think that of what it really takes to get talked about.
Right. And then, then after that I go into, it's a, you'll get more to just what the meat and bones, what it's about. I give the facts about the release, which is something that needs to be done, that we do have a new podcast coming out or a new show starting. And then I get into a authority building quote that is one of mine. We have one of Jack's a couple paragraphs later. But this one just where it establishes my authority on it, where we go down and actually tell what the show is going to be about, why we're doing it, and just make it very entertaining, that I'm really coming from a very authoritative place. Which is, it's a lot of people do that. But what I do next, the next thing I'm doing there is something that I've really not seen anybody else do, which is huge. The next one is I'll read the sentence on here. It's Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and Access TV echoes Horn's statements on the importance of entrepreneurs being different. And then it goes into Cuban elaborated, and then it goes into a full quote from Mark Cuban of says, "Wherever I see people doing something the way it's always been done, the way it's supposed to be done, following the same old trends, well, that's just a big red flag to me to go look somewhere else." So what I do on these releases, I'll go and find a quote from a celebrity entrepreneur or a politician or another famous person that's relatively well known. I wouldn't go like to the Oprah levels or anything like that, go crazy with it. And you get them, you find a quote from them that kind of supports what your position is. So in this case, ours was that we want to, show you people, our listeners, how to do some different type of positioning of themselves than that's ever been done before, ever taught before. And so I found a quote from Mark Cuban, a famous, celebrity entrepreneur, that's supporting that. So basically what this does, this just goes and basically almost looks like you're getting an endorsement from somebody like Mark Cuban.
Right. And so, and we've got to be really clear on this. You have to be careful about this because it's, you don't want to make it say Mark Cuban said this about Brian, right? It's clearly not that. But what you're doing is, folks, and we're not trying to, do a big, paint this picture of something that isn't real any more than journalism has been doing since journalism began. All we're doing is we're peeling back the curtains on how big journalism operates. And you've seen Spin. What was the show? Spin City. They got to peel back on exactly how, the politics and has been spun. So this right here is, to me, huge that you've kind of uncovered and really shown in a one sentence this very strong, powerful tactic that has been used by high-level journalists and marketers for many, many years. And it's such a simple principle. I think it's fantastic but you just have to be careful about the way that you position it. But it is such a strong, it's the same way when people get their picture taken with a celebrity. Yeah. It's what you're doing is you're positioning yourself for the people looking at that to infer that you're hobnobbing with the celebrity, even though you may be thrown back on the other side of the red, the red velvet rope instantly after that. That's true. But that's exactly what you're doing, but you're doing it through words, and this really is a true wordsmith. It's art to me, and to be able to do this, really take notes. If you're looking at this, go to the website, read it, because this right here is one of the most powerful techniques that I think Brian has revealed, on this show yet. Yeah,
it's very cool. And the people that go through and read this, how much we pay attention. We skim read. We just go through it, and a person, a prospect of yours, possibly, if you're listening to this show and we do one of these for you, and they see it, they're not going to just dig into that and read it and say, oh, this is what they're doing. They're going to go, wow, Mark Cuban's because remember, they're seeing this on the Wall Street Journal, so they're not going to think that Brian Horn's writing this. They're going to think that a top level journalist from Wall Street Journal wrote this article, and they interviewed Brian for it. They interviewed Jack, and then they got some thought from Mark Cuban about it. And you're in nowhere in here am I saying any of that happened. That's just the way that people's minds work, and you're just putting it out to make a really good, interesting article, and that's just where people's minds are going to go. And if anybody asks about that, I every time I tell them no. It's one of my favorite quotes from Mark Cuban. I fit well with the story, so I used it, which is true.
Yeah, I was about to say this is Psychology 101, but it's actually Psychology 400, because this really is, because you are not telling people anything, you're allowing them to paint the picture themselves. Right. And fill in the blanks, which is really fantastic. Right. And one of the word I use in there I use this one almost every time for these quotes, is the word echoing, because that you're just saying, listen, this guy just said the exact same thing. He's not, it's not an original, it's not a specific statement from it. Just listen, this dude said the same thing at one point in his life sometime. Yeah. He happens to think the same way. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. Okay. After that, we go back into we do the authority establishing quote from Jack, and it just moves along. It says something different than I said, but it moves the thought along. And then we get back into some more quotes from me. Then what we do then, this is the next little piece of the puzzle, is down toward the bottom. We have some testimonials from a person I worked with, and a person Jack worked with, and we do a couple more. And what this does,
like in this one for me, I'll read this one. It says, I'll read a quote of this. So I don't say the whole thing. This is from John Sanpietro, a guy I did some work for. A part of it says, months later, I'm still reaping the rewards of all the coverage. Brian's authority marketing is easy to implement and the effects last for years. Now, what we can do now, this has been published, like right now we're reading this on Wall Street Journal. That sentence was on the Wall Street Journal. So we could now use like in a piece of a promotional material, we'd say, Brian's authority marketing is easy to implement and the effects last for years. We have Jay Sanpietro, wallstreetjournal.com.
Right.
And that's where the quote has been found. Again, and what I even do on a lot of these, I like to put the date on there also. Once you get several of these under your belt, so then it will have the today's date. And then you put a bunch of those on your website and you contribute to the person, to the date, but everybody will just read wallstreetjournal.com.
Exactly. And that's the power of having the quotes. The fact that you pulled a quote out from me, you put a quote from you put a quote from anyone in these, in this release. And now everyone that's been quoted in there can ethically say, as quoted on the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And so that's which is really powerful. And you guys, you've seen everything from movie posters to, reading TV Guide, that when you see quotes from different outlets, their whole purpose of that is to establish credibility,
Absolutely.
to really hone in on the credibility. And that's exactly what you're doing is by using these little tweaks, you're able to use that same kind of powerful branding and marketing that big media uses, and you're doing it in the exact same fashion that they do.
Yeah, and that's the movie poster is exactly where I got this from and started using it, because people see movie posters or the ads for movies. It'll pop up and say Brian Horn, B Horn, Rolling Stone, and gives it a 4-star review, or some little dinky TV station in Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin, but first one popped in my head, and it sounds cool. And once we hear it, you go, wow, you just get pumped for the movie. So we do the same thing here.
That's awesome.
And then the last thing, it's still another testimonial, but we actually did one instead of the first ones were one about Jack, one about me, and then we did some for the show, which we got some early reviews in from some people we sent the early access to and got them to give us opinions on it, and plug those in also. So we just each got an individual one for the processes that we're teaching. People have had success with, and then one just about the actual show itself and the content of the show. So we just stack all those things in this one release, and then they can be used forever. Like those testimonials, we'll use those forever. Those are our first your comments about the show. We'll be able to use those and show they were published on Wall Street Journal and KABC in LA, and got a whole bunch of great places these things pop up with our distribution system.
Oh yeah, well, and yeah, that's the one thing. That's a great point. Is this can be used for anyone that's quoted in these for the rest of their careers. They can ethically say they were quoted on the Wall Street Journal. That they were quoted on any of the places that gets distribution. I know some of these things, we're able to get hundreds of spots all over on media outlets for this, and that's why it is extremely powerful with this. So this right here, you've kind of dissected what we've done for this initial press release that for the release of this show, and this is something that literally takes how long? I know how long it takes, but a lot of people are shocked, when they say, let's get quoted on the Wall Street Journal, let's position this. And I always say, and I'll say it again, so many people have that thought in their head that, down the road, that would be great down the road. Yeah. And they're talking from conception to you putting, start typing on your keyboard. What are we talking about?
Man, it can go fast. I've had one that got put out today that the person contacted me on yesterday. So within 24 hours, a guy I've done some stuff for sent me a text message and said, "Man, I've got a guy who's hot. He wants it, but he wants it right now. Can we do it?" I found out my journalist that writes these up for all of it for us. Had an opening. The guy interviewed him. He wrote up that day, sent it to me. I sent off last night about 6-7 o'clock. I got it hooked up to our network and published at 3:05 a.m. today.
Yeah.
So it can go really, really fast. I usually like to say about 48 to 72 hours is about the closest. I like to 72 hours is a good time because that gives you a day or so to book a time with the writer, gives them a couple of days to write it up, and then we can publish it out. But when things need to be fast, man, we can make them fast.
Yeah, and really this is a double-edged sword because, we've seen where people have tried to put some of these out that really, when you read it, was slanted in the wrong light. It didn't look good. And in the same way that we build this credibility in a matter of 24 hours, you can actually make yourself look kind of bad in 24 hours if you write it in the wrong way or the story's slanted. And also, we talked about some of the nuances in here on how this is very purposeful in the way you wrote this, but there's a lot of little things that people don't realize, that this isn't just put in whatever you want and the Wall Street Journal is going to publish it. Right. They are very particular about things being the way they're written and newsworthy, and the way that so it's easy to get rejected. I've had a lot of people that say, I tried doing this myself and I got nothing, or I got rejected, or whatever. And that really is where it comes with, building the authority and writing these from an authority point of view, and to add that credibility really is an art as much as it is a science. But I think you've definitely gone through and shown some of the hidden pieces and put a spotlight on some of the things that people don't realize when they're reading a lot of press releases, that people don't realize what's happening, that the picture that they're painting themselves, because they're reading between the lines and coming up with their own opinions of what that piece is. So if you're out there and you're doing this and you have an opportunity, think about these principles. Think about the principles of putting an authority, someone like Mark Cuban, if they have an opinion similar to yours, or they have a story out there that's similar to what you're talking about, to be able to weave them into your story adds a tremendous amount of credibility to this. The fact that you put in quotes in there, real quotes, and like I said, we're not trying to fool anyone. We're not trying to do anything that is unethical, but real quotes in there can be very powerful and allow you to say that you've been quoted on these news outlets. So,
and the other thing, just jumping real quick, the other benefit of using quotes, and why I use a lot of quotes, is because inside a press release you can't use the words "you" or "we" or other words like that. And as you know from anybody doing sales copy, "you" is one of those powerful words you can use. And so both in quotes, you can use them because then you're just quoting somebody. And so I always put quotes and put the really good sales copy into quotes. And then you can get away. You can put just about anything you want.
Right. Opinions. I always tell people, if it's going to be opinion, it better be in a quote if you want to get it through there. And that's one of the things I've seen a lot of people that are brilliant marketers. They're brilliant at writing sales copy and absolutely horrible at press releases because they cannot get that mind shift that this is not a marketing piece. And what you've done is you actually have to weave this really intricate piece here to, one, make it very strong marketing wise, but also two, make it appear that there's no marketing involved at all. Absolutely. And that right there is, again, where the alchemy comes in, because you're really turning something ordinary, making it into something special without crossing over that line of being hypey or marketing. Because there's nothing in here where you're using those words like, exciting, fantastic, brilliant, all the stuff that people would normally see in a marketing piece. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see.
Yeah. And I did a bunch of when I was really testing the actual distribution network that I use to get all these published everywhere, because you guys that are using PR Web, you're not going to get on Wall Street Journal, period, or really anything else out there but what we're doing. But when I was first testing out the network, I offered to do these for everybody in the mastermind group I'm in, and just to do it for them at cost. But I said, just y'all guys write it up yourself, because I don't want to. If I'm doing these, I don't want to spend a long time writing them. And these are people that can afford to spend tens of thousands of dollars in a mastermind. Most are 7-figure earners. And out of the 12 I did, 11 I had to rewrite completely because they did not know how to write press release. And these are seven-figure marketers, smart. Most of you guys ought to recognize at least half the names, if not all of them, in this group. And none of them could write a press release of the right way like this. And I maybe I didn't do a good job explaining it, but even it was just not even a good standard press release. It was just like what Jack said, all full of superlatives and exclamation points. And one of the people even had put all types of font in there, like bolded stuff and highlighted and did the italicizing. And so like a bad sales letter. So yeah,
there is a method to all of this. So, but take the principles, folks. And really, what I would encourage you to do, and I'm sure Brian would too, is start reading press releases. Look at press releases and see, how they are written and catch some of these tricks that are very stealth. And even big press releases, when you're looking on CNN.com, or you're looking on Entertainment Tonight, or any of these, read the stories and look and see how the use of quotes and the use of butting up celebrity and credibility is used to really turn the story into something completely different and more powerful. And speaking of CNN, I think it's time for the Authority Hacks.
Authority Hacks?
Authority Hacks.
It's finally time for Authority Hacks. It may be Brian's or it may be Jack's. You'll appear to be famous, then you will claim us to be the kings of Authority Hacks. It's time for Authority Hacks. It's time for Authority Hacks.
All right, that is the song. And so go ahead, Brian, give him the Authority Hack. Although I don't know how you can, what you just did was a huge Authority Hack, but I want you to do Authority Hack because we talked about CNN today. So give a CNN Authority Hack.
Yeah, we'll get that one. And a lot of you already, if you follow me or follow Jack, we've both shared this before. But without question, every event I've gone and spoken at where I've shared this has been, everybody comes to me and says this is the best trick I've heard at not just here, but just about at any event period. And it's really simple, but just people don't know it exists. There is a place on CNN's website, a subdomain called ireport.cnn.com. So like iPod is a lowercase I, then report.cnn.com, and it is for a portion of the site known as like citizen journalism, where anybody or just regular people can go and become news contributors for CNN about anything they want to, anytime they want to. So basically, what this allows you to do, you can go through and upload a news story of your own on CNN about what you have going on with your business, maybe about a client's business, and it'll be published on CNN.com, and then you're able to say, as seen on CNN. And it's really cool. I know they have the iPhone app for it. I'm pretty sure they have the Android version also, where you can just do everything right from your phone, where you can just take a video of somebody or take a picture of them, upload it, type in a few paragraphs of content, and you're done. It is powerful stuff. That is one of my favorite little hack things to do, where if you just want to quickly and easily make yourself into an authority and have the CNN logo on your site, you can do that in all of about 5 minutes with this.
Yeah, and it shows up instantly. I was amazed first time I did that I published it, and I was thinking, well, maybe I'll get some notification or something. But no, boom, there it was right there on CNN. So that is extremely powerful, and I've seen people do some really, really really powerful things with that for sure. So there it is, the CNN today's Authority Hack. That's something that you can do immediately. Go give it a shot and let us know the feedback. Let us know what you did. Send us a link to your CNN. Put it in the comments section. We'd love to see how folks are using this. Well, Brian, I think we've really put a lot into this episode today as far as the anatomy of an authority press release and how people can be that authority alchemist and really dig deeper into how these things are put together. And for sure, with the CNN Authority Hack, I would definitely like to encourage you, if you like the show, go to iTunes, subscribe to iTunes, leave us a review. We would be very appreciative of that. Leave a comment at authorityalchemy.com. And if you are interested to becoming that authority, positioning yourself and have credible news, national media, talk about you in the next 24 to 48 hours, then go to authorityalchemy.com and hit the Claim My Authority button and you can learn how you can get this type of credibility really within the next 24 to 48 hours. Brian, anything you want to leave the folks with today until the next episode?
I think we got it covered, man. This was good stuff. I hope everybody is able to implement what we shared today. And if I said one thing, I'd go on and do the CNN thing right away. That's easily someone's getting a little easy win like that under your belt, leads on to other things, and things start rolling for you faster. It's a fast way to do it. Then share it on Facebook and blast off to your list.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Again, go to authorityalchemy.com. Leave us a comment. Share the podcast out with folks if you like it, and leave us a review there on iTunes. And we will see you on the next episode of Authority Alchemy.